Your FastAPI endpoints work perfectly for human developers, but are they actually usable by AI clients when converted to MCP tools? We'll see exactly how operation IDs become MCP component names and why explicitly defining them prevents confusing auto-generated names that break AI integrations. The pattern here ensures your tools remain predictable and maintainable as your API grows.
Hash good explicit operation id. At app get /user/user ID. Operation ID equals get user by ID. Def get user ID. Int. Return id user id. Hash less ideal auto-generated name. At app get /user/user ID. Def get user ID. Int. Return id user id.
This demonstrates the explicit operation naming pattern for API to tool conversion. When converting REST endpoints into AI callable tools, operation IDs serve as the stable identifiers that LLMs use to reference specific functions, rather than relying on auto-generated names from root paths or function names. The pattern works by decoupling the technical implementation from the semantic contract. By explicitly defining operation IDs, you create a consistent interface layer that persists even if underlying roots or function names change, while auto-generated names risk breaking when code is refactored. This separation ensures tools remain reliably addressable by AI clients over time. This approach matters because it solves the fragility problem in API to tool conversion. Without explicit IDs, tool names become tightly coupled to implementation details, making them brittle against routine code changes. The pattern is particularly valuable when exposing existing APIs to LLMs, where stable tool references are critical for reliable integration. Let's break it down line by line.
Hash good explicit operation id. At app get /user/user ID. Operation ID equals get user by ID.
This explicitly sets the OpenAPI operation id for the endpoint, prevents auto-generated names that break when function names change, ensuring stable API contracts for clients and documentation.
Def get user ID. Int.
This defines the root handler function that processes GET requests to /users/user ID. The type hinted userid. Int parameter automatically extracts and validates the path variable, while the function name becomes part of the OpenAPI schema unless overridden by operation id.
Return id userid.
This returns a dictionary with the requested user ID, simulating a successful API response. The structure matches FastAPI's automatic JSON serialization, ensuring clean client-side handling. In real implementations, this would typically fetch from a database or external service.
Hash less ideal auto-generated name. At app get /user/user ID.
This omits the operation id, forcing OpenAPI to auto-generate one from the function name. Auto-generated IDs create brittle API contracts that break when you rename functions, defeating the purpose of explicit API versioning.
Def get user ID. Int.
This defines the root handler function that processes GET requests for users userid. The type hint userid. Int enforces integer validation, automatically rejecting invalid paths like /users/abc before execution. FastAPI uses this signature to generate OpenAPI documentation and request validation.
Return id userid.
Returns a simple JSON response with the requested user ID. This demonstrates the endpoint's core functionality, retrieving and returning user-specific data in a structured format. The minimal response mirrors real-world API behavior where endpoints often return just the essential requested data. Operation ID pattern. The explicit operationid in FastAPI becomes the MCP component name, ensuring consistent tool discovery across both REST and MCP clients from a single codebase. Auto-generated names create brittle integrations when endpoints change, as clients rely on stable identifiers. Always specify operationids to future-proof your API contracts.
The endpoint that refuses a name becomes known by every name.